What is going on? We are back at it again with another episode of Team Chat with Coach Brett Owens. He is more jacked than your father. And your boy James Gillespie. Today, I think this is Brett. This is episode number 6 by the time this
Yep.
comes out, I believe. We're going to talk about something that really plagues newbies and a lot of people that maybe struggle with body dysmorphia, and that is gym anxiety, right? Having anxiety when you're walking into a physical location where there's other people around. We're not talking home gym. We're not talking apartment gym when it's empty. We're not talking about commercial gym when it's empty, but going into these places and seeing people, making eye contact, being around individuals that are also working out, that are training, that are being trained by others. It is a big problem and oftentimes a limiter for people actually moving that ass.
Mhm.
Right. So, Brett, can you kind of give a little backstory of why we're even talking about this, why it's timely for us to bring up?
Well, I mean, I definitely think we've probably all seen like the Joey Swole videos and stuff like that, where it's like it doesn't really help with when it comes to gym anxiety when you have people that are like, filming themselves, filming other people, bashing other people sometimes. But you also, it's like even if you're not in that kind of environment, like just being around people that have been probably doing it for 30 years or people like there's these apparent unspoken rules about you know putting your weight away a certain way, or like maybe you're afraid that you're doing the exercise wrong or something. Like I can see how that can be intimidating. So I feel like a lot of people can probably relate to that in some way.
Yeah. In what ways have you struggled with gym anxiety?
Oh, when I first started, it's been 12, 13 years. Like I remember I couldn't even go to the gym unless I had a friend with me, or I was going with my dad or someone I knew, because I was always afraid that one, I wasn't doing anything right. I was afraid that people were looking at me and judging me. Very self-conscious. I've always been known to, or not always, but when I was younger, I was known for being very introverted, very quiet, didn't want people to like look at me or anything. And I understand now that like that's a lot of projection. A lot of the time you're at the gym, especially. I mean, I've been doing this for 12 years, nonstop, and I can tell you right now, I could not care less what anybody else is doing in that gym. I'm focused on myself, so I think that's the number one thing that I wanted to address. Really, is that a lot of times people really don't care what you're doing. I mean, we're all here to get better, and most of them are probably afraid that you're looking at them too. So
Yeah. No, I think that's a fair assumption that people are also up in their heads, up in their feels. And yeah, I think that I wouldn't say that I've necessarily struggled like in a regular commercial gym with anxiety of being in the gym when I started or anytime now. I would say sometimes when I'm in, like, let's say I jump into an Olympic weightlifting gym where that is not my specialty.
oh yeah.
I mean, there's definitely a little bit like, all right, I'm moving 100 pounds and it's a little difficult full depth.
Hmm.
And these cats around me are moving 300 to 400 pounds, like 200 kilos at the
Right.
at the
Yeah.
same speed, and not worried about the people around them. So I can definitely relate to that. I think at some point though, it's like it the anxiety itself is not the problem, right? Having the feeling that like, people are watching, or what if they say XYZ, or what if they think XYZ, because chances are you're right. They probably are thinking whatever. But
Hmm.
also, just as many times as someone else is doing that to you, they're thinking that you're doing that to them. So
Right.
nobody's really isolated from it. And when I walk on the belt line with a rucksack on, that's 50 pounds, in short shorts, no underwear, full print, right? Ready to roll,
Yeah.
barefoot shoes on in the middle of the day, right? People look at me like I've got two heads, like I'm
Yeah.
Medusa running around with snakes coming out of my head. Like
Yeah.
people legitimately like, what the hell is this guy doing? Long hair, it's up in a little man bun, right? And I've got almost no clothes on and weight on my back. Like some things people do for a rise. Other times in the middle of the day, I need to get a few steps in. I want to make it a little bit more difficult than just leisurely walking. And so people are going to stare. I think that being okay with people staring, people saying XYZ, thinking XYZ is important. Because I don't believe that, the opinions of anyone at One Life of you, or the opinions of anyone on the Beltline of me, or the opinions of anyone when we drop into a gym when we're traveling mean more to us at the end of the day than our opinions of ourselves,
Mm, yeah.
or they shouldn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. I think I find that I can relate to that big time because I feel like I'm probably harder on myself than anybody else around me.
Yeah,
But
which is honestly fucking hilarious because of how big you are.
yeah, sure. It's because I've got that little voice in my head telling me I got to do more.
Yeah, telling you that you're teeny, telling you that you can't do pull
Yeah,
ups, that you can't clean 315 cold, that you
right.
can't back squat 500 pounds. Like I think that this is an important thing to realize though. Like everyone that's listening to this that knows Brett, that knows you, right? When they see you walking around, you're a large human.
Mm,
And for you to sit here and be open enough to say that you still struggle with it sometimes, that
mm,
it might come up sometimes, that like maybe you wear a shirt that's a large when you should have worn an XL when you're doing, a bunch of hinging movements because you just don't feel super comfortable. Like
yeah,
for you, as consistent as you've been for over a decade, to communicate that you still sometimes hit the same thing, I think is important for people to know.
yeah.
Right. Their
That
coach isn't Superman, even if he did dress up as it on camera.
yeah, right. No, I mean that's a good point. I mean, I think that, when we see stuff on social media and we maybe you think that I don't know. Maybe you think that I have it all figured out, especially on like the health and fitness side. And I mean, I would hope that I at least have some of it figured out if I'm teaching people stuff. But like, I still struggle with a lot of those same issues. I'm sure that anybody in that's a professional in our industry would agree that they struggle with all those same things. It's not anything new, and it's always going to be there. It's just, what are you going to do about it? Like, what are you going to do with that? um I, Maybe this is relevant, maybe it's not, but it's just that quote that I always run through my head constantly. It's like, we can't really we can't change what happens to us. We can only control how we respond to it. So, um, but yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree. I think that it is important for people like us to talk about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I think that it has changed though, at least for me, right? The more that I focused on the way that I look, the way that the way that I lift, how I'm moving when I'm doing exercise, the more that if I'm even going to have anxiety, it's shifted from anxiety of not knowing what I'm doing to potentially anxiety of judgment by the way I look when I'm doing it,
Mm,
right? Or maybe how my clothes are fitting, or maybe how I feel today, or like my nose is stuffy and I feel like I'm coughing up phlegm, so automatically in your head you're like, well, I probably look like shit today, right? You know what I mean? Like there's
yeah.
this immediate, like you jump into these places where when I walk into a gym, I don't have anxiety that I look like I don't know what I'm doing. I can tell you that's not the case at all. Probably for you the same way. You're
Mm-hmm.
not like, oh man, what do I do with this barbell over here on this rack? Like,
Right.
shut up.
Mm-hmm.
You've been in the gym enough that you know what you need to do. But I think that people understanding that it doesn't necessarily go away, you just do something different with it. Like you just said, like you react differently to it, or you acknowledge your emotions around it and you react and do what you need to do regardless in the face of, right? There's not going to necessarily always be a situation where you're going to rid yourself of all of it. And
Mm-hmm.
doing woo woo breath work and all kinds of other shit in the car before you walk in, not going to change the fact that you still have to go in and move. You still
Mm-hmm.
have to go in and do it, right? You
Mm-hmm.
still have to open yourself up to looking stupid trying to snatch in a CrossFit class.
Yeah.
You still have to do that.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. It's like, if your goal really is as important to you as it is, like if you have a goal to lose weight and it's that important to you, then you got to figure out how to get past that anxiety. And for me, like, I mean, obviously I think it requires some sort of reframe in your mind, but like for me, when I walk into something that I'm really new to, of course, like, I mean, I've done acting for 5 years. That was terrifying. That was the
Mm-hmm.
hardest thing I've ever done. Even just, working with you and building a business and things like that, there's a lot of aspects to that that's fucking horrifying. But it's not like I'm gonna sit and get freaked out about it. Yeah, we've had some conversations, but it's not like I'm gonna sit here and freak out about it and not doing anything about it. It's like you gotta just be comfortable with being uncomfortable, and as soon as you get over all of that, it's gonna get easier. I get excited when I like it's kind of transferred into all kinds of different aspects of my life. But I get excited when something new is coming, or like when I want to go on a new venture or learn something new. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna look stupid, and that's okay. And if people judge me for that, that's their problem. But like, it's exciting because now it's like, okay, I can apply all this stuff that I've learned from all the things that I was bad at one point, and now I'm really good at. I can just apply that to here, and now I can just put another tool in my belt of something else that I'm like that I can get good at, and then potentially maybe teach some other people down the way, help them to that kind of thing. So I don't
Yeah, you do know. You don't need to say that.
know.
You do know. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that pretty much covers, the full depth of what that gym anxiety actually is, and what it looks like. And that, everyone started day one. Everyone started with not knowing what the hell was going on. Maybe you had a teacher, a mentor, Jay Cutler standing next to you to help you, but you still didn't know a damn thing when you started, even if you did have that. There's a guy that I used to work out with at World Gym. You might know him. Do you know Terry back in the day?
I think so. Yeah.
Probably like, dude, this is probably like maybe 2011 to 2013. He was at
Mm-hmm.
World Gym. Big Jack, dark skinned guy, dude,
Mm-hmm.
massive jacked, some tattoos, right? Had gotten in a car accident where his fitness is what saved him from being able to like climb out of the car, right? In a car accident with it on fire. Super solid guy, was a close family friend's father. And yeah, dude, he taught me to work out at World Gym, right? He taught me to work out. I guess it was before 2011. But taught me to work out like at the beginning of high school, into middle school. And I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And I remember those days where I was afraid to put the, you know, the individual like short bars, the straight short bars over my head with like 25 pounds. I was afraid to do that. I was afraid to get in a squat or try to bench with him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or try to do, and I don't even know what this fucking called, but it's a seated like upright chest press, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's on a hinge. It's got handles. It's
Mm-hmm.
only in commercial gyms. They don't have it in any other kind of gym.
Yeah.
Got
Yeah.
it crunch. You know what I'm talking about? You're seated like you're in a seat, and
Yeah.
we're here. I don't even know what
Yeah.
that's even called. Maybe
Oh,
it's
it's
like,
like a hex or oh man. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I
but
can't
you're
think of it.
seated, you're upright. You look like you're
Yeah.
in just a regular chair, right?
Yeah,
Feet are
it's like
hanging down.
it's a hammer strength bench type of thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that thing. I remember not knowing what the hell I was doing there, right? At like 13, right?
Yeah.
14.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that no matter what happened, that I had someone that was there to help me. And also I was going to look stupid for a while. And I had to be willing to look stupid for a while to get stronger. I
Mm-hmm.
had to be willing to almost hit my face hit my face with the barbell to understand how to do clean and jerks and understand how to snatch. Like, had to look stupid trying to do double unders, had to look stupid trying to do muscle ups,
Yeah.
had to do it if I wanted the goal enough, the way that I communicated that I wanted the goal. Because if I didn't, I would never get there.
Mm-hmm. And the moment that you do that the first time, it's always the hardest. But the moment you do that, you can do that with everything else, and then it just gets easier and easier. And then suddenly you've got like five things that you're an expert at, and it all it just took was you just getting over that fear of what other people think or whatever it is.
Yeah. And even if you never reach expert level on anything, right? And you just stay novice or you stay moderate or, somewhere in the middle on things, communicating to yourself that you can do something and then proving to yourself that you did it, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is the energy that you're talking about that compounds, that can send you to the moon, right? In any
Mm-hmm.
discipline that you want to do. So I want to offer people maybe a few things, a few action items that they can do, right? If they struggle with gym anxiety. I'm gonna throw out one, maybe you throw out one, we ping pong a little bit, and then we wrap it up out here. I think that we can kind of start with like, gym anxiety is something that doesn't really go away for everyone. It just maybe changes, the form that it takes and what it's about. And so for me, I think that the most fundamental, the single best thing that you can do is show up no matter what. Similar to how we would say with steps, we're trying to hit your protein goal, right? We're trying to lift 3 times a week. We're trying to be more active than sedentary. Showing up no matter what is really the thing that will get you through. What's another recommendation?
you don't always have to have a gym to stay active either. So I mean, like kind of like to piggyback off of what you said. I mean, as long as you're showing up for yourself every day, I mean, who's to say it has to be at the gym? You can show up for yourself at home and do workouts at home. You literally can do just body weight stuff. Or just getting your steps in. I mean, as long as you're making a conscious effort to put time aside to do that, you're going to be unstoppable no matter what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, and I would say another thing to keep in mind is that something that's given me confidence, especially when I was brand new in the gym, is stacking something that I know well with something that I need to improve on. So
Mhm.
potentially looking at a superset scenario, right, where it's not crazy, like maybe RPE 7, 6, 7, when you're starting to learn movements, right, and go regardless of what your split is, just stack it with something that you know that you're super confident in, right? Doing those two things side by side, that confidence will bleed. I promise. When
Yeah.
you catch your arm or you catch your neck vein in the mirror doing something that you're great at, and then you're stacking something that you're not as great at, it'll give you a little bit more confidence to continue to push. And if
Mm-hmm.
you're there, you might as well fucking lift, dude. If you're already there, you already have weights in your hand, you already allocated the time, whether it's at home, in a hotel gym, at a random gym, in a commercial gym, or in your living room, you already said you were going to spend the time.
Yeah.
Get it done.
Right.
Anything
100%
else?
agree. No, I mean, I think we covered everything. I don't think I have anything else to add, but yeah, I mean, that's solid advice. And I never, I guess I subconsciously have done that before and never really realized it. But yeah, anytime that I've been really good at something and like knocked something out of the park and then immediately went into something that I wasn't very familiar with, always did that thing better.
Yeah, man. Small wins compound, like in everything, right? And you can do it. You just got to be willing to go through the shit long enough. So if that helps, where can the people find you on Instagram?
Coach_Brett_Owens.
Dope. And the best way to get plugged into our team, legitimately, no matter what Brett and I say, is our Facebook group. And then from our Facebook group, you'll be able to find both of us on Facebook, on Instagram, what have you. We've got tons of free resources. We've got a solid community there. And if you want to talk about coaching, that is the place to reach out to one of us. You can post in the group or you can just shoot us a DM. We will be reaching out to you if you join our group. Don't you worry about it. We will absolutely reach out to you within the first 3 days. So you should see someone from our team, even if it's not Brett or I, someone will be reaching out and we'll connect with you. Thank y'all for listening, and we will talk to y'all next time.
Peace.